I'm Rocky Alley. I'm a lobster fisherman. I'm also the president of the Maine Lobstermen Union, and I'm running for the state senate.
My name's Robert Alley, and I was born and raised right here on Beals. I got into lobstering when I was about 10 years old with my father. At that time, they had wooden plugs you put in the lobsters, nothing, not rubber band. That was before that the state stepped in and decided that everybody had to have a certain amount of traps. They had to have a certain boat.
There's been a separation, I think, in my experience with it, where the average working person just sees that legislative process and that legislative body as something that's completely separated from where we are in our everyday working lives, which is entirely untrue.
We need more people to get involved in politics that's going to go up there and make the difference, rather than sit back and say, well, we'll wait for someone else to do that. You can't do that. We need to step forward. I want to step forward, make things happen. I don't want to wait for them to happen. And I had thought of things that we really needed in Washington County and in the state, and that's working for the loggers, the fishermen, and the farmers, seniors, veterans. Education was another big thing that I was involved with.
Is it important that we have members in the State House? We have members that are going to be politicians? Yes, because that's where the changes are made. And what the union gives us the opportunity to do is be that solid foundation together.
Coming from Washington County, it's been an honor to get in there and work for the people of down East Maine and for the state of Maine. It's something that had been on my mind over the years, but I just didn't figure that you'd get enough backing to do it. You had to be from certain families, and I found that out to not be true.
Now, there was a time period where the fishermen got a fair price for the product, and then big business stepped in and took control of it, and now they dictate what we're going to get.
I've seen personally how fisheries have been decimated by special interest, decimated by regulations, over conservation, hyper conservation.
If we weren't politically minded ourselves, the lobster industry would probably not, it wouldn't be any, the price wouldn't go up. They'd keep that price as low as they could and make the big bucks and leave us sitting on the fence.
So in 2012, there was what they call the glut of lobster.
The markets weren't expecting a big amount of lobsters to hit the market that time period.
The shore side of the industry, the buyers, drove the price down to the point where it wasn't even worth the lobstermen going to fish because they weren't making any. It was costing them money to go, and bait and fuel.
That's when they figured, hey, look, we're going to try to form a union, see if we can work on hopefully getting the price of lobsters back up where it should be.
The union was the first group that I had seen that actually could make a difference.
I can't go to a local grocery store and walk in and grab a gallon of milk and stick it up on that counter and say, I'm going to give you 50 cents for it. That's not the way it works. They have the milk, I need the milk, but I've got to pay that price. What's the difference?
We can sit on the radio and get pissed off. We can sit at the dock and argue, be like, oh, we're so upset about the price, we're so upset about this regulation. That's not changing anything.
I've got the product, they need the product, stay in business. Why can't I tell them what I want for a price?
And having people at the State House is the only way it's going to change.
I've been in that State House for years, and I would go there and it was like they never knew I was there.
They would go and show up on a public hearing day, say their piece, leave, and not follow the process all the way through.
But now that I go there, as a president of the Maine Lobstermen Union, believe me, they know I'm there before I walk through the door.
Showing them how to deal with that process, get involved in it, and follow it all the way through was something that at first they were like, we've done all this and it never works. So, come on, let's go do this and do it the right way, and you'll be glad you did. And they're very glad that they're involved the way they are, and they're very good at it. There's nothing to stop you guys and the power that you have through collective action of having an impact at the federal level the same way you do at the state level. Nothing. They know you guys are here, they hate it, and they have to deal with it. The more they hate us, the better we are. This has been extremely effective. They're going after the tracking this way because you guys pushed back as a union and beat them back, and they couldn't get what they wanted.
By going to the State House, found that we have support from other brothers and sisters in the union.
There were members from Local 6, there were members from paper mills, there were members from one of the transportation units, a railroad unit here in the state. So they had IAM members that were non-lobstermen that came to support them.
I mean, people we didn't have any idea who they were, but they helped change the laws in the State House to help fishermen that are also members of the union.
At the federal level, you got 450,000 IAM members with you at the federal level. We have a whole department at headquarters that does nothing but lobby at the federal level. You know what this union's all about. You know what the resources are.
There's all kinds of concerns out there, I'm sure, with people throughout this country. Myself, it's the price of lobsters. It's the laws they come out with. But there's other industries out there that are certainly impacted on the laws and regulations that come up through their state.
When you have an organization called like the Maine Lobstermen's Association, you would think that they have the voice of the lobstermen, but they necessarily don't, because the members are the exact people who are injuring the lobstermen. So when you have the politicians going, well, the MLA says that the lobstermen support this, it's not necessarily the case. You know, so now by having members on seated positions at the State House, now we have people at the table saying, no, the fishermen don't say that.
So I want to be a state senator representing District 6, Washington County, and be on the Marine Resources Committee. I want to be able to control it. I don't want to be told by big business or by the state or by the federal government on how I am going to make a living. That's why we need working class people in the state houses throughout the country. Take control of your life. Don't sit back and let somebody else do it. There's a lot of lobster fishermen out here that have invested $400,000 or $500,000 in new boats, new track gear. If we keep getting a cheap price, there's going to be a lot of sorry faces around, and not just in these communities, up and down the whole length of the coast. If they should pass a bill that affects myself and all the fishermen up and down the length of the state that are members of the union, I want to be there.
These lobstermen are very good at going and engaging their legislators. They've become very, very good at it.
I don't want to find out about it 3 months down the road and say, well, what happened? I should have been there.
You hold these politicians' feet to the fire and you say you want to get reelected, you know, this is where the changes are going to be made.
There's nobody out there looking out for us. And if we don't start getting politically involved, then we're just going to go down the tube.
The more you get involved in the State Department, no matter what state you're from, the better results you're going to have.
You can do it. And I'm living proof of that right here today.
I'm going to prove it. I'm going to get elected.
Now we have a seat at the table. Now people are listening to us. And that's the power, I think, personally, that I see the difference between other organizations and the union.